Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Having seen various aspects when it comes to the Islamic government and so on, such as happened to the rights of the non-Muslims in the Islamic State. Because earlier on you said that even the non-Muslims are allowed to live in the Islamic State. So we're going to see what are their rights, what are they obligated to, what are they entitled to in the Islamic State. Because you should live with these people, which is well and good. So live with them, we find it is there. But how can we live with them and what are their rights in the Islamic State? So that's what we're going to cover today, and it may happen to be our last subject when it comes to political systems of the Islamic system. So let us say that the right of life and honor, Islam regards the life of a non-Muslim as sacred as that of a Muslim. He cannot be deprived of his right to life save in accordance with the Sharia, and if he suffers the loss of life or property at the hands of a Muslim, the offender will be dealt with in accordance with the law, and he will have to make good for that. That when the non-Muslims are in the Islamic State, these people they're entitled to the right of life and honor. So these people they should have the right of life. You should leave them to live. You shouldn't persecute them because they are non-Muslims. No, them being a non-Muslim is not a crime. So these people they should be given a right to life, even to protect them from facing death. The Prophet said, "He who wrongs a man to whom a covenant has been given or burdens him above his capacity, I shall advocate against him on the day of judgment." So here, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is trying to show us that for those who wrong people, even covenant, those are the non-Muslims, he will know he will advocate against you on the day of judgment. So this clearly shows that even the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam also advocated for the rights of the non-Muslims. Furthermore, a Muslim can neither torture a non-Muslim nor can he insult him in any way. The Prophet is reported to have said, "He who tortures a non-Muslim is like the one who has frustrated me. I shall frustrate against him on the day of judgment who has contracted him." So under this, the Prophet is trying to show us that here is depriving us of from torturing the non-Muslims. I remind the non-Muslims, but we should not torture them when they are in the Islamic State. We should treat them very well and in a humble way. Benefits an Islamic State. Another one. Islam allows non-Muslims freedom of movement and profession, but they are restricted from going to certain places such as mosques and settling in holy places. So the non-Muslims are given have the right of movement anywhere, but however they are restricted from moving to certain places. For instance, mosques, they are not allowed to go to mosques, even in settling in holy places. For instance, the Kaaba. Then we shall see all places like Makkah, like Medina. These people are not allowed to settle there, but other places, these people should feel free and they have the right to settle anywhere they feel like. Such restrictions are also necessary from the law and order point of view, because if non-Muslims enter the sanctuaries of Muslims and something unusual happens, it will injure the feelings of one another and jeopardize their cardinal relations. And they have given us a point. If you happen to enter there, when something happens, it will insult both the Muslims, even the non-Muslims, because at times they might be held accountable for what happened, and at times at the end of the day we might end up causing conflicts, because at times they don't know that those are not these sacred places of Islam. So that's why they're not allowed. But in other places, let them travel. As long as the place is not holy for the Muslims, let them travel. They have that freedom and that will. Another one. Similarly, they are also permitted to visit foreign countries in connection with their business activities. subject to certain coordinations common for all. They are, however, not allowed to visit a state or states hostile to the Islamic state. So, for instance, they are allowed, they are allowed and they are permitted to visit foreign countries. But, however, there are some Islamic states which are hostile. If those countries are hostile to the non-Muslims, they are not allowed to visit, because if they go there, they might face problems, they might be persecuted, they might be tortured. So if there's an Islamic state which tortures them, then they are not permitted. But if they go to countries which are Muslim countries, but they are common with the non-Muslims, these people have the right to travel anywhere, even if it is abroad. Another one, they are entitled to ransom if a non-Muslim, if a non-Muslim living in a Muslim state is held captive, he must be ransomed by the Islamic State, just as it can do it to its Muslim citizens. So, for instance, if a non-Muslim comes from a state which is for a Muslim, which is a Muslim and is entitled to that country, but if, for instance, it's arrested, then this person is entitled to ransom. The country should pay what is required in a way that that person is released. So they are entitled to that. As long as they are under an Islamic state, a certain Islamic state, and they are being captured anywhere, it's our obligation as the rulers of the Islamic state of that state where he comes from, or she, to provide ransom that this person is released, as we would have done if it is a Muslim who has been arrested or captured. Another one, Islam does not permit the rules of the Islamic State to detain or arrest non-Muslims unless he actually breaks the law of the land. So we don't have the right to just say that we are arresting non-Muslims because the non-Muslims are arresting them. No, Islam doesn't permit that. We only arrest them if these people they break the laws of that land. For instance, they have stolen, they have committed offenses against Islam. These people, at the end of the day, that's when we are permitted and that's when we are allowed to arrest them. But we are not allowed to arrest them if they have done nothing. Don't just come from nowhere, and because they are non-Muslims, you are arresting them. Then there you are not being fair. You're not applying justice to them. You should be just, and you should also apply. You should also apply fairness, and you should also be fair, even apply justice to these people. Another, Islam grants non-Muslims the right to education using their own beliefs. They are also allowed to stick on their ancient cultural patterns and preserving their native languages. Under this, we shall see that the non-Muslims they are allowed to have their education. For instance, they have in Freemasio. So even if in the Islamic State and they exist, these people they should be allowed to have their education as low they're allowed to have education as guided by their religion. So these people they should be allowed to they should be subjected to their education as their religion aids them. Even if they're in the Islamic State, this helps them to preserve their native, even speaking their native languages. For instance, those who speak Italy, those who speak various languages, they should be allowed and they should be accommodated. Those who are non-Muslims. Another one, Islam grants non-Muslims. Likewise, each Muslim citizens, the Islamic State grants the non-Muslim citizens the right to family and its secrecy. No one can enter their house without their permission. These people who are non-Muslims, they are permitted to having families. And for instance, if they have families, you are not allowed to enter their house anyhow, even if you are the Amir of the Islamic State, because they are not Muslims. You should first seek permission before entering their houses. So they are permitted to having families as their religion teaches them, because for them they believe in monogamy. Leave them to have them. They should have children. They should own property. So these people are entitled to possession of families and also living with them and also having privacy. We shouldn't try to undermine or look into their affairs. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.